What is up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Flicking with Skip. This is actually a Secret Sundays episode, and we are here with our good friend Ryan Williams. I say our good friend because he is a friend of the podcast from Aaron and myself from a long time ago. Not as long as we would like to admit to, but a long time ago. So it is good to see him and for you to be here. What's up, buddy? How are you?
What's happening? It's been a long time since that fateful afternoon evening at the spot.
Yeah.
Is that where we met at the spot? That's crazy.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
that's the
our
first. That was the first show I ever did in Chicago.
that's so weird.
The first show?
Oh, wow.
The first show I ever did in Chicago. I moved there and I didn't know anybody, and so I had no way of performing because I didn't know anybody. And God, I think I found you guys maybe on Craigslist. Was it a Craigslist or fuck? I don't know, or maybe it was like some. You know what it was? There was some online platform for
Ooh, Chicago,
improvisers to
the
find shows.
improv network.
Oh yeah,
Yes,
okay, gotcha.
Chicago
Yeah.
Improv
Yeah,
Network.
that would make
I
sense.
Yeah,
found.
the
I think
forum.
you guys were advertising the spot on Chicago Improv Network.com,
Yeah.
and all I had was KUMATE, and so I didn't have anybody else to perform with, so I think I emailed you guys or something, and we were just like, hey, I got
Hey,
this
can I do a one-man thing? And I was like, yeah,
show idea.
sounds great.
Yeah,
Is
and so
is
I was
that
like, in fact, I remember, I still tell this story because I tell people about how I just like sent an email to you. I didn't know you guys. I just sent it to whatever the spot. What was the name of
Yeah.
the show at the spot? Did you guys have a name,
Overstock.
or was it just like improv at the spot?
It was called
overstock?
Overstock.
That's right, overstock.
Yeah, Overstock. That's what it was. And so I emailed you guys and said, hey, I don't know if this is interesting to you guys at all, but I have this weird one-man improvised kung fu movie that I do, like in a kung fu outfit and play the
So
pan
awesome
flute
though.
and do a kung fu movie where I play all the characters and make all the sound effects. And I think the response you guys sent back was something to the effect of, I don't know what that is, but I have to see it, kind of a thing. Like, and so you guys were instantly like, yeah, bring that down here. I want to see what that's all
Of
about.
course.
And that was the first show I ever did in Chicago,
Oh my God.
and that was, God, 2017? Oh, no, 2007?
2007.
Would've-
Yeah,
That
it must have been 2007.
That sounds
Yeah, 2007.
about right.
sounds about right.
Yeah.
And that's man, so glad you did. That was all Aaron's doing. He's the one who set up, getting socialized at the spot and starting the Overstock show or being a part of that. I think it was you and Jim, right?
I took it over from a comedian named Jeff Plitt.
Okay. Oh,
And
that's right. I forgot he was there. Yeah.
yeah, he was running it, and then
I remember Jim now. That's right, Jim.
yeah, yeah.
What did he do? Because he was like, what was his thing? Because I don't feel like he didn't perform. Or what
He
did
did.
he do? How did I
Did
know
the
that?
lights.
Yeah.
And he occasionally hosted, and like and
Yeah, did he play like weird songs or something?
yeah,
He
and
had a
he
musical
had a
bit.
guitar.
Yeah, what a stranger that day. What a strange guy that guy was. I liked him though.
Yeah,
He had a like a at like he was more technical theater. He did write a show at one point.
Yeah, yeah. I forgot about
But
Jim,
but
man.
yeah, no,
yeah.
Kumite was I mean it's a staple of my Chicago experience. Because I mean you told us exactly what it was. It's you doing a kung fu movie as a one man show, and it's always worth it to see the show because I got to catch it a number of occasions at different locations, and yeah, it's highly memorable. I can't imagine you're still doing Kumite. Um,
Take your devil's pottery and go. You feeble man. You think, after all these years, the magic has been cast away, and I return here to bring my pottery to this town's knees. The other way around. Them on their knees, my pottery. And if you think I'm going to let some feeble old fool stop me, you're a fucking idiot. Well then, let's see this pottery of yours. Fuck. That's really good. I'm not gonna lie. What about this one? Even better. Break another pot, and I'll fuck you with my sword. What about this teacup? Hmm? Care for some tea? You see, my control is amazing. Uh-huh. Your speed is very nice too. I see nothing's changed. Ha! Ha! Fight! Very well. The bow it is. You see, I am revitalized. She brought me back. I have the strength now. Your pottery is shit and the devil can't help you. Fuck you.
but I
No,
feel
no. Although I will tell you, randomly, about a month and a half ago, I got the strangest email from a stranger that I'd never met that said, "Hey, this may sound weird, and I know it's got a left field, but I am putting together a wedding for a couple, and I'm putting together a wedding video for them, for people congratulating them and wishing well, and this other kind of stuff. And apparently, they met, or their first date or something like that was at a show that Kumate was performing at, and I was
no.
hoping you would be willing to give a shout out to him and send me a little video. And so literally like a month and a half ago, I put all the Kumite outfit back on, the whole thing. I had it all packed away in like a box in my basement,
Right, because when are you gonna
and
pull that
I put it
out?
all together and made like a happy good wishes. I hope your marriage lasts Kumite shout out.
KUMATE shout out. I mean, like that's what I'm talking
Yeah,
about. Like you were part of their first date because they were, in Chicago
yeah.
at some, odd place where, we were doing, some form of comedy, improvised comedy.
It was really weird. Yeah, this show started out. I started doing that show in like 2003, maybe 2004.
Oh wow.
In Denver. In Denver, I was doing it as part. I started out as like a 5 minute bit where there was like a late night variety show that it was at a show called the Bovine Metropolis Theater,
Okay.
which was the only little sketch and improv theater in Denver, or at least the only one that I knew of at the time. And they had a show. It was like a midnight show on a Saturday night. It was called Blue Cow 5. And it was basically everybody got 5 minutes to do whatever the hell you want. And it was the only show at the theater that you were allowed to go blue or do something dirty or whatnot.
Right, right.
Well, actually, it wasn't inherently dirty. It was just I was drunk at a bar one night with some buddies, or maybe I was at a house or something. I can't remember, but I like since the time I was born, I wanted to be a ninja, basically, or a kung fu master.
Sure.
Since I was a little kid, so I did tons of martial arts for years and years. I got a black belt, and then like around 14 or 15 years old, 13 or 14, I started smoking pot and like fucking around and being an idiot. So I quit doing karate, and that was a fuck up for many years. But then I found improv in like 2001. And I was just drunk at a party one time and just hanging out with some guys. And I was like, oh man, I'd love to be able to do like some fucking karate and some improv or something like that. And it just like, it was born out of nowhere. And then I ended up just doing this 5 minute bit at this Blue Cow 5 show where I would get a suggestion from the audience and then just do like kung fu object work based on that. It was like, vacuum. And so I would just, vacuum with sound effects and like as though it was like a kung fu movie or something like that. And it just kind of slowly grew from there to, at one point, I think I did like, God, an hour, maybe an hour and 10 at one of the theaters in Chicago.
You did an hour and 10 long KUMATE show?
Yeah. I did.
Where was this?
Beat the shit out of me, though, I'll tell you.
Yeah, I bet. Holy cow. I think that, okay, actually, Ryan, you're bringing up what the conversation was about is because I started doing solo improv, and I've been exploring it. It's been super exciting. And we're like, the only person we've seen who's successfully done solo improv was Ryan Williams. And I was like, yeah, but I don't think he's ever gone more than like half an hour. That's what my guess. Aaron, you could correct me if I was wrong.
Yeah.
In recording that, but it was like I didn't think it was very long. You went for an hour and 15 minutes? Because first of all,
Yeah, it
for
was like an
anyone
hour
to
15.
improvise that long is a really long time. For those of you guys who don't know, a solo show where you're carrying the entire weight of the attention of the audience, that's a long time. I'm sorry, just say this
Yeah,
again.
no, I'll tell you 45 is the sweet spot. An hour and 15.
Yeah.
The last half hour was probably not as good as the first 45. Because your brain can only handle so much, man, when it's all being made up. And then you're trying to tie in fucking plot lines from 45 minutes ago. And then
Yeah.
it's just a lot. It's a lot to ask of the audience, too, because the audience is like, in order to do an hour and a half, you have to have like some long, slow periods in there. It can't just be an hour and 15 minutes of pure action.
Well, see, that's what I was saying. Is that's what I was like, I could see if you could probably hold off doing full action for a fair amount of time, but like you're gonna need to also like character build. And I was like, that's where I think the difficulty was, not because you're not capable of that, because that's hard for anybody to do. That's hard for a team of people to do.
Yeah, I think if I had I never had a director, and I never rehearsed. It was I would think about
things. Did you run shows that were over an hour before, or was that like the first and only time?
No, I did a 4-week run of it wasn't an hour and 15. It was supposed to be an hour.
Okay.
What theater did you do that?
It was a 4-week run of an hour, as like paired with another show every week. It was I want to say New Colony. It was part of New Colony. Like they were trying something out.
New Colony guys. Sure, yeah, I think I remember actually seeing that run. not seeing the run, but I think I remember it being advertised. I was around at that time, I believe.
Yeah, it was in. It's been so long. It's only been 5, 6 years since I lived in Chicago, but I'm trying to. Logan Square. What was the theater that was down? Um,
CIC?
no, it was like an actual. I don't want to say CIC was an actual theater, but it was like at a place that did more like theatrical stuff than
Okay.
comedy or improv.
Are you talking about? No, I actually I don't know. I'm sorry. That's way too specific of a location for me to try to remember.
It was like in between Damon and shit, doesn't matter.
Yeah,
Boring for the podcast. Either way, I did
you're
a
doing
4 week
it, and
run of long shows, and and you know what though? I did
what's
have
up?
Ryan Mira. Do you guys know Ryan Mira?
I do. Yeah,
That name sounds so. Yeah.
he worked
So
with
Ryan Mira
Lou
for the
Colony
4
quite
week
a bit,
run
right?
he was my musical accompanist.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Yeah, we know Ryan
So
Mayer because we worked with him on a show or something.
Yeah.
yeah,
Didn't he do our
he
music for
was
Cops in Space?
I think he did the music for Cox, the original Cox in Space. So that's
Yeah.
awesome. Okay, and he's really, really talented.
yeah, no, Ryan Mira. If you can get Ryan Mira to do your sound, that would be amazing because he is very talented and just a really cool dude too.
That
But
was
he did like the background music for me for Kumate for that 4 week run.
I bet
I
that was
still
a
had the
big
thank
help.
you. And we kind of got together a couple times and talked about the feel of it. But he's done improv music directing for so long.
Right.
He would just fill in stuff that just fucking worked.
Right, you're like,
You know,
okay,
I didn't even.
thank you for showing up and supporting me here, guy. Because that's the thing is he was improvising the same way an improviser would. He's not just improvising music.
Yep.
He's like heightening and yes ending in the way that he was doing the music. Yeah, I remember that. I saw him at the because we used him because he played at the Annoyance a lot. So I saw him doing a lot of Annoyance shows.
Yep. Yep. He did a lot. And he music directed a comedy, IO and Annoyance and lots of independent stuff. He had his own band. I think he still
Oh
has
yeah,
his
I'm
own
sorry. I
band.
wasn't trying to pigeonhole him into just the Annoyance. He's definitely he had done a lot of work just in general. Absolutely. And that he should be shouted out. I hope he's doing okay. I haven't looked him up in years. But
He
I
is.
did. I
He's
think
doing great. He's really good. He and I are still pals. We don't talk much, but I keep in touch with him.
so. I think what I heard you say is that Kumate was one of the reasons that you took a different course in your life. Is that what I heard?
No, it was just a huge help in getting me established in Chicago. Just because I moved there, I didn't have any money, I didn't have a job, I didn't have anything. I moved to Chicago because I was fucking lost in Denver. I actually, if you want to know the truth, I moved to get away from drugs. So
Yeah, that
Oh
was
wow.
kind of the I think I've heard you talk about it before. And so like it was just what time period were you there? That's the 90s, right? Like 90s and 2000s, early 2000s, because you
well,
moved to Chicago.
in the '90s was Dallas. I lived in Dallas in the '90s, all
Okay.
through junior high and high school. And then I moved to Denver, and then I lived in Denver for 10 years, from like 2000, oh no, 99 to 2007. I think 2007 is when I moved to Chicago. So
Gotcha.
yeah, like 98, 99. So then I lived in Denver. Um, and I started doing comedy and theater, and went to school for theater, and then I was partying. I worked as a bartender. I was partying too much, and having too many nose beers, if you know what I'm saying.
Them nose beers, man, they'll get you in trouble. Robin Williams says it was a sign that you
Yeah,
have too much money. Um,
yeah, that'll take care of that problem real
yeah,
quick.
exactly. Solve it for you. Yeah, so I got you where you're like, dude, I gotta not be doing this anymore. I didn't know you went to school for
Yeah, it's
theater.
really interesting. It was really interesting because I knew that shit was going south, and uh, and so when I was working, I was doing comedy, I was bartending, and then the Second City came to Denver and set up a 2-year residence at the Denver Center for Performing Arts.
Oh, cool.
Kind of like the touring company just came and set up. And so, like, if you know Dave Colin or Brendan Dowling, and several other of the Chicago performers, like Second City guys, came to Denver and they cast their understudies locally.
Oh, cool.
And so I went and auditioned to be an understudy for Second City at the Denver Center, and got cast, and totally fucked up the opportunity because I was doing too many nose beers, and I basically came into the like about 4 or 5 weeks into the run. They had an understudy rehearsal, and I just hadn't done any of the work. I was up on my lines. I was all over the place. And then Beth Kliegerman called me like the next day. I'm sure you guys know Beth Kliegerman. She casted the Second City.
Yeah.
I don't know if she still does, but she did for years and years and years.
She did definitely while we were there.
Yeah, and so she was the one who cast me. And then she called me like the next day after the rehearsal, and she was like, "Hey, listen, the cast doesn't feel comfortable with you. You're obviously super talented, one of the best auditions we've ever seen. We'll have to let you go at this time, but if you ever make it out to Chicago, come take classes for Second City, yada yada yada." Right. And it was a super bummer, but it was obviously all of my own doing, right? Like I totally fucked up the whole opportunity. And so a few months down the road, a friend of mine was moving to Chicago. I don't know if you guys know a guy named Paul Backer. Maybe he was around Chicago. He was around Paul Backer. He was around for a long time in Chicago. He now lives back in Denver, but he and his wife were moving to.
What's his wife's name?
Sorry, go ahead. Susie. Paul did a lot of improv and a lot of comedy, and Susie and him like to do a lot of burlesque shows and stuff like that. But anyway,
this is also
probably recognize his face. I might even be friends with him on Facebook. I have no idea. But he and his wife were moving to Chicago, and about a week before they moved, I was kind of at my lowest, and I basically just called him and said, "Hey man, I know you're moving to Chicago. Can I just like put a couple boxes in the back of your moving truck and just fucking come with you?" And he was like, "You know what? If you help me pack the moving truck and you want to help me move everything there, we'll get you out of here." And so Paulie basically saved my ass. And so I moved out to Chicago with I sold my car that I had. I think I had like $1,700. I moved out there, went into Chicago apartment finders, and said, "Give me the shittiest shoebox that you have." And I found some apartment on Damon and Belmont that I said, "What's the cheapest thing you had?" And I think it was $490 a month or something like that, or $460 a month.
Jeez.
And I was like, "I'll take it." And he goes, "Let me show it to you. Just let me show it to you."
You're
first.
like, no.
And I was like, yeah. I was like, I mean, if you want to, but I'm gonna take it.
Right. And
literally, it was in the basement of this. It was probably maybe 300 square feet, and it was one room. It had a bathroom, and then it had it was a closet that was converted to a kitchen. It had one window that you could open it up and touch the brick wall across the alleyway from it.
I remember.
And so you opened the door. I stepped down into it. I was like, "Yeah, this is great. This is perfect. I'll take it." Yeah. And so after first month, last month's deposit, all that, whatever, I think I had $200 left. I went and got a bunch of fucking ramen and potatoes at Aldi's.
Right.
And then I had a month to find a job and make some money, make $490 or whatever the fuck it was.
What was your first job when you moved? What was the first?
I moved, and it was my job there for probably 5 years. It was a great place called Arco de Cuchilleros, and it was a tapas bar in the middle of Boys Town.
There you go.
And it was
it was great. Too. I knew I was going to make some good money.
Oh yeah. Well, I mean, it was good. It was okay. It was a tapas, like TAPAS, not a topless
No.
bar.
Yeah, no, I know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Like,
tapas means they serve a little bit
I
more
worked at a
food.
topless
it
bar
would
in
have made significantly
Town.
more money. It was significantly more money if it was topless.
That's true. I mean, you were in your Kumate years too, so you had that like the good
Yeah.
cardio you've been working
Oh,
at.
oh yeah, I was ripped up. I was ripped up, buddy. A little thin. I'm not gonna lie, but cut.
Yeah,
Um,
you had to be.
so yeah, I got a bartending gig there, and it was like 2 or 3 nights a week, but it was enough to make that next month's rent, and because it's a restaurant, you get fed pretty well, so I didn't
Yeah,
have to spend a bunch of money on food, and so I worked there for 5 years on and off, and working more hours, more roles there, all that kind of stuff. And then just trying to do fucking comedy on the side if I could,
yeah. That's
and
the thing, right?
try to keep
You
it clean.
go and do it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So how long you been clean for now?
Oh, let's see. This time, maybe I don't know, 4 or 5 years is about right. Well, I mean, I still drink. I still have a cocktail here and there. Um, I mean, I used to smoke pot from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed. I mean, you guys know from the Vortex days.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Um,
This is
yeah,
life in the
yeah,
vortex.
I somehow live
exactly.
there, but you know.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I mean,
and
dude,
Aaron's up there.
did you ever live in Paul?
Yeah, he
What?
did. Yeah,
I
You
lived at the
lived there, right,
Vortex,
Paul?
but I've
he lives in the
never
vortex too.
had alcohol or pot, except
No, I know
secondhand
that
because I
about
lived at
you.
the Vortex. Uh,
Yeah, that is actually amazing that you never had and either one of those and lived at the Vortex.
Right, yeah, exactly. I thought that they actually required your blood alcohol limit to be a certain level before they even let you in the place. Um, like
Yeah,
some places they're gonna do like background
he,
checks. But the Vortex
he,
did a blood alcohol content check.
I
yeah, you
think
know
they
how
just
most
assumed
people
because I was
like
your friend.
yeah. You know how most people when they go for like a job interview, they like have to go and like get someone else's clean pee to pass.
Hmm.
In order to get in, Cosby had to go find someone to smoke pot to piss in a cup for him.
I was wondering why he asked me to pee in that Skittles bag. I never figured it out. I gotcha. I gotcha.
We always just thought he was a kinky motherfucker.
Yeah, exactly. I was like, but he only asked once. I kept saving him for him every time I had Skittles. And I guess
Yep.
you didn't find him in your room, Aaron?
Taste the rainbow.
Right.
Exactly. Did you guys hear Dan Bloom finally moved out?
That was
Yes.
that's what we'd heard. That's the end of an era because he had been there for like 15 years, 18 years.
Yeah, I think he was the longest lasting
A
Vortex
significant.
member.
Yeah, he was there when I
In
moved to
history.
Chicago. Yeah. No, that's not true. Actually, okay, so he was there like right after I moved to Chicago. Him and Matt had been talking about getting a place. So that's talking like 2004. So if he just left last year, then that would be 20 years that he was there.
Yep, and he lives maybe an hour and a half north of me now. I've already been talking to him about getting together. He lives up in Boston.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's what's
yeah.
up.
He told me.
So he's doing okay. He
Yeah.
went over to Boston. That's good to know. Because
Yep.
Dan Bloom is a good friend of ours who is an improviser, was an improviser with us in the scene when we were there. So shout out to Dan
Yeah, he
Bloom.
ran Gingers.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hey, you're talking about a guy who's been a lot through a lot as well, man.
yeah.
I think it's been with his dad, but I think, ooh, man, maybe his mom and his brother both passed away in very bad circumstances. So
Did you say brother?
Yeah, his brother died.
Oh,
Very.
I didn't
Yeah.
hear that.
yeah,
Oh crap.
I don't really air his dirty laundry out here, but he's been through a lot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. I should probably reach out and try to connect with Dan Bloom as well. Um, if
Yeah,
you
he
found
messaged me like right before he moved out of Chicago. So I said instead of the end of the era thing, I said end of the dynasty.
yeah, I mean it was
Yeah,
a pretty epic amount of time that he was there for sure.
yeah. God, I would love to see a time lapse of that.
Oh man.
Can you imagine? I'm like 100 speed. Fuck, I don't even know how you do 15 years, come packing down to like an hour and a half. I'd watch
Yeah,
that.
like what it would look like. Holy crap. Yeah, for sure. Um,
A lot of
so
pledge dispensers.
there was that the thing that he collected? Is that a Dan Bloomism?
I don't know who collected them, but I remember they were like all around the seal. It was like a little, I don't know if it's called a sconce. Is that what it's called, a sconce? I don't know. There's like a little area along
Oh yeah.
the divider of the room that had just like Pez dispensers lined up all around.
You are absolutely correct. I do recall them as well. Um, yeah, and they were also
By
there
the
for as
way.
long as I can remember.
Yeah. And then, God, who is, what's his name? Fries, beans, and fries.
Matt Lang,
Oh, Matt Lang.
fries and
Matt
beans,
Lang.
and beans and fries.
Fries and
Oh
beans
my
and
god.
fries?
Oh my God. I don't know
Fries,
why it's never
fries.
crossed my mind to try to get to talk to Matt Lang. If you want to talk
Oh
about an
man, that would
improv
be cool.
person, it would be real fun to talk to on the show about
Oh, dude,
anything.
you should get Matt Lang on the show, dude.
We should
He's one of the
actually.
wildest guys I ever met.
It'd be really fun to do like I don't know, some sort of like vortex get together, like reunion show or something where like everybody who was like connected with the vortex at one point, um,
Oh, yeah, right? That
to,
would be
to
cool.
talk about like the all the things that place has been.
Yeah, that would be cool.
That would be a fun show.
Good times. Good
Yeah.
times.
But Ryan, so this one's about you. But you did mention you said that you were a fuck up for many years. And I was wondering if you wanted
Oh,
to
yeah.
get up into that more at all.
I mean, I still battle with it.
Okay.
It's just
Like,
basically, I got into it when I was real young.
so
So I
when you
smoked
say you're
tobacco
battling
for
with it, you
15
talking
years.
about like addiction, like forms of addiction,
Oh, yeah, addiction.
having an
Addiction, for
addictive
sure.
personality. Now, have you noticed
Yep.
also, and this could be true or false for you, so either way, I'm just curious. Have you noticed also that it's not always just drugs or substances, but can also be like all sorts of like other lifestyle choices that like have the same addictive type of behavior?
Yeah, I mean, there is some of that, for sure. I mean, I'm not really into gambling, so gambling was never an issue for
Right.
me.
Yeah, I think it's
Um,
silly to spend money like that.
food was never really a big thing for me. I mean, I got sex and pornography and stuff like that, for sure. But
Fair enough.
um, mostly just drugs and alcohol has been like the big ones for me, and not even really alcohol that much. Like, yeah, my 20s and 30s, I drank a lot, but it never caused problems in my life.
Right.
Um,
How
and
much money did you drop
not
on
like drugs.
improv?
What's that?
How much money did you drop on improv?
Yeah, right.
That
That was
that
an
improv
addiction for
pattern.
sure.
Yeah,
That
I
was
don't know if
I
you
Yeah,
got
ever
we
it
we
for a while for sure. Like I actually I didn't spend a ton of money on improv. I will say I was really good at getting like internships
yeah,
and like
yeah, that's
painting
definitely
and
worth it.
filling households and like working for my classes and stuff like that. So in Denver, I did I took classes there for 5 years at this theater and did shows at the same time. And the whole time I just came in a couple days a week and like would paint and clean out storage, reorganize that, or plug mouse holes over here or whatever. And then when
The
I went
things
to
that
the
need to be done. Yeah.
conservatory, same thing. I worked in the student office there, once a week while I was in classes. So I didn't know, I never really had that kind of money. Who has that kind of money? It's like thousands of dollars to keep all these improv classes.
well,
Um,
I didn't have any vices to other than improv, so
that is true. I mean, if you're not spending
Yeah,
money on
you're
other
lucky.
things, it turns out that you can spend a lot of money on improv classes, I guess. No, but I was just talking about, I was noticing that you're like, hey, I just, the way that you got to Chicago is like, I threw a couple bags or boxes in a friend's truck and went to Chicago and figured it out for $400, with a couple $100 to spare. And I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah,
that's totally the way that I have gotten around many times in my travels
yeah,
around the United States and moving from place to place. And then, but I've also noticed that like for me, it's like I'm like chasing adrenaline sometimes, like not even like a substance, but like just like I need things to be more exciting than they are. Um, so
yeah.
that's why I was wondering if
I think
that was
that,
like something that happened from a young age also for you.
I'm sorry, say it again.
And I was just wondering if that is something that happened at a young age for you also. If like the drugs themselves, was like more about chasing the excitement of things. Because I know especially you say you like you got that nose candy and it's like, fun stuff for the feeling of it, but it's generally it's just that rush, right? Like you're just like you feel on top of the world, like you're ready to the go, everything just feels exciting even when it's not, you know.
Yeah, I think that's exactly it. I think it's from a very early age, I just enjoyed altering my mind, and it just progressed from there. So,
Oh,
it
fair.
started out smoking pot, and then when you smoke a pot, it's like you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. In fact, I'm fucking laughing my ass off. Food tastes better. Your fucking comedy shows are funnier. We're all
Right.
laughing. It's a great fucking time. And then you're like, well, what else are they lying about?
Right.
And
Well, see,
everyone's
that's
like,
I think one of the big problems that happen with the whole like, drugs are always bad is that they just like kind of grouped everything together and they didn't really point out that, like smoking pot is not the same thing as shooting up heroin and like the addiction levels of alcohol are not the same as meth. Um, like it's just
well, it's reefer
there's definitely
madness,
some
man.
drugs you should be
If
way
you
more
really want to
careful
get
about.
into it, if the pharmaceutical industry fucked all that up.
Oh
You
yeah, I
know,
mean, and then you want to talk about where it actually came from. Yeah, they were pushing drugs that you could get in a pill. That was the point.
well, during Vietnam, everyone was smoking pot and being like, "Wait, what are you talking about?" And then the government couldn't have it. You know, like fucking they didn't want everybody wanted Vietnam to end because they were smoking pot and talking about love, and they were like, "Nope, Schedule 1 narcotic."
Right,
Right?
yeah, exactly. We cannot have people thinking so free.
Yeah, yeah.
Free
We can't have
love.
people love. We can't
That
have you
doesn't
guys
sound like
loving each
something we
other.
can charge for.
Right, yeah,
Yeah, we
exactly.
can't
Not
make
in
money
not
off
in this capitalist society.
We make money
right?
on love here.
That's why they killed John Lennon, man. Yeah, so so I was smoking pot and having a great time with my pals, and then it could lead to a slow progression. I started doing like LSD and mushrooms and mescaline and things like that in the '90s, and
Okay.
going to raves and getting into like techno music
Oh my
and
God, you were
all
in
that kind of
Denver in
stuff.
the 90s at raves?
No, no, Dallas,
Oh, Dallas.
Dallas in the
Okay.
'90s.
Wow, okay. Also
Yeah,
fun.
and so we would sneak out, and this is like I guess I don't know if it was like early rave years. I'm sure there was raves before then, but
Sure,
this was
sure.
like back in like the legal raves in warehouses where you would get a flyer and you had to like call the number on the back of the flyer at like 11, like after 11 o'clock at night, and then they would like have a recording. Like you'd have to call from a landline, and they would have like a recording of like what the address of where the rave was, and then you'd sneak out of your parents' house, and someone with a car, you would drive out to this warehouse in the middle of the warehouse district, and it would just be like fucking DJs and people with fucking tanks of nitrous and tabs of ecstasy and that whole thing, and
That
so it was
that
just a whole party culture, and so it was a lot of I didn't even get into like. I mean, I guess you'd call ecstasy hard drugs. I mean, there is methamphetamines in there, but
Yeah,
mostly just
okay.
like LSD, ecstasy, pot, stuff like that, um, and partying.
Right.
And then at some point, a few years into it, I think someone introduced me to cocaine, and that's kind of all spiraled down from there.
If you like to have a good time and you want to keep partying, cocaine is definitely the way to do it. If you
Yep.
have enough money and your nose can take the
Uh,
hits.
And so that's the problem is when you're 14, 15, 16 years old,
Oh, geez.
you don't have money,
Yeah, you don't.
and so if you want to feed your habit, it turned into crime, and so we would go on like crime sprees, breaking into cars and shit like that, stealing people's purses, taking
Nope.
checks and cashing in the grocery stores and just horrible shit.
Just trying to find
and I got
something to
busted.
get some money.
Yeah.
So you were
And
hooked
so
that bad at 14, 15, and you're trying to get cocaine, not necessarily even crack at that point.
no. I mean,
Okay.
I've done a fair amount of crack, but that wasn't until later.
Okay, no,
Uh, uh,
I didn't know. I was just like, I mean, because right, crack, as far as I
this
understand,
is
is
just
just concentrated.
oh shit. You know what? Hold on one second. I gotta grab a charger. The battery on my phone's about to die. Hold on.
You're all good.
All right.
Aaron Consbill, we're here on Flicking
Yeah,
with Skip. Check out
we are.
these panels that are getting semi-animated. This is gonna be enough for
I
an
know.
animatic. Yeah, it's just a short panel series where you yell but cock. And then I'm gonna have you running back and forth in this space right here.
Excellent. I can't wait.
So
Let me see. I might have to just move to a location that has a charger here.
okay, I get
Let's
that. I
see.
know how
That's
that is.
that's literally why I'm in the car because I have a charger in here.
It's like a sound booth. So you also get control of your volume, so that's
Yep.
nice. Yeah.
Yeah. A little bit of a different feel, but there I am.
There you go.
Um, there I am.
By the
Yeah.
fireside with Ryan Williams.
Yeah. So I got arrested a couple times in Dallas
Oh crap.
before I ever moved to Denver. And I'd been kicked out of the house. Well, the first time I got arrested, I got busted cashing bad checks. What we were doing is we would go up, we would drive up and down alleys in Dallas in the suburbs, and if people parked their cars outside of the garage, we would break into the car. If there's anything in there, we'd take it.
Okay.
And then and oftentimes people would just leave their purses and wallets and shit like that in their cars. And so back then, checks were waived. Everybody used checks.
This
Fucking
is a
90s.
wild thing to
So
even have to mention to people. Like you're talking about hey, I went to raves and there were checks. So there's two generations who are like, wait, what?
yeah, this is before
Check into cash.
cell phone.
Yeah, this is
I mean,
there's very early internet at this point. It's really not anything to speak of.
yeah. If you wanted to get something, you would have to use a quarter, page
Yeah.
somebody,
Yeah.
and then put in the number of the payphone you were sitting at, and wait for them to call you back.
Yeah, the whole paging systems. That's right. Wow, not even a thing.
I know, it's fun.
And you would know somebody was a drug dealer if they were 14 and had a pager.
Yeah. So basically, what happened is we found a checkbook in someone's car, and we would go into the grocery store, and I'm 16, 17 years old, something like that. And so I look young. I look like a kid. And
Right.
so we would go in, we'd fill up a grocery cart full of groceries, and then we'd go through the checkout line. And before we went in, we would fill out the check except for the amount, and put a fake signature on it and all that kind of stuff.
Gotcha.
And then
my mom sent us
we would act like, no, my mom sent me down for groceries. And she told me I could fill out the check for $25 or $50 more the amount, so I could get my allowance. And then they'd give you cash back, so you could wheel out a cart full of groceries, and then they'd give you $25 or $50 cash.
Yeah.
And then sometimes the teller would even fill out. You'd be like, "How do I do this?" And they'd fill it out for you. You'd be like, "Oh, you just add $50 and blah, blah, blah," And then they'd give you cash and you get it for another. And so I got busted doing that. And basically, I had a car full of groceries, and the lady said, "Oh, that's great. Let me just call the number on the check and verify this with the lady, with your mom, and I'll be right back." And then she went to go call the number on the check, and I tried to slip out the front door, and they had a undercover cop. a plainclothes cop or something like that by the door, just snatched me up. And so I had to spend a week in city jail in, God, what was it, Richardson, Texas. So I did a week in city jail there, and then my parents finally bailed me out. And then a month later, I got busted doing same kind of stuff with four of my buddies, and we actually got busted like actually breaking into the cars.
Oh crap.
And then I spent my entire 18th year in jail for that.
Bruh.
That was like the first like turning point in my life right there was spending a year in jail at the age of 18. And that's the first time I ever got clean and like turned my life around at that point.
Gotcha.
So,
So I mean, what's your
they all
thought
have like
process?
rehab stuff?
Yeah, when you're there, like
Uh,
what is it? You just like, I don't want to do this anymore, or like, yeah, what's the rehab situation?
Well, no, it was jail. So it was, it's funny. I've always wanted to put together a show based on this because I have a stack of letters about this thick that correspondences from me and from either my friends or family of letters that I wrote from jail. Because my parents basically said the second time I got busted, my parents said, "Well, we're not bailing you out, so you're just going to have to deal with it."
Jeez,
So
I
I had
mean,
to
how do you
sit
feel
in
about that
county
now?
for. How do I feel about it now?
Yeah, how do you feel about? I
Oh,
mean, obviously, I
fucking
know how you feel
great.
about it then, right?
Yeah, no, well, I mean, if you read it's so funny. If you read the letters, you can like see the drugs leaving my body. It's great.
Huh.
The first week I'm there, it's like, don't get me the fuck out of here. I'm not safe. They're gonna kill me in here. That kind of shit. And then like, a month later, it's like, okay, I think I've learned my lesson. I think, okay, you guys can get me out now. Like that kind of thing. A couple months down the line, it's like, you know what? I think I should stay. I think this is good for me. you
Oh
know,
wow.
like,
He's like,
yeah,
dude,
yeah, yeah. You can like see in the writing like the drugs leaving my body. And so I don't think I wouldn't have stayed clean if they'd have bailed me out again. If they'd have bailed me out a second time, I would have just gone right back to doing it because it's what addicts do. Is they do whatever it takes to get what they need, and they'll lie and they'll steal and they'll cheat and they'll do
right,
whatever it is because they're not themselves. You know.
right, right.
And so my parents refused to get me out, and so I had to sit for basically. So I got busted for 13 charges, mostly misdemeanors, but there was 3 felonies. One first degree organized crime felony is what they called it. It was engaging in organized criminal activity.
Because there was more than one of you,
So because it was more than three or more.
more than
So
30.
3 or more people conspiring to commit a criminal act in Texas is organized crime,
I
and
mean,
they won with
okay,
the book hats. So it was basically we were just breaking into cars and garages and shit.
right, and they
But
just
we're
happen to
going
be
to make
doing
an
it together
example
because,
of us. Yeah, it's a misdemeanor to break into a car, but once you go into a garage, then it's a felony.
oh, because
So
you're
we
into
break
somebody's
into the
house.
car. Yeah, well, we break into the car, and then before we left, we'd hit the garage door opener on the inside of the car, and then we'd come back around like a half an hour later with the garage door still open, and no one woke up. And then we'd go into the garage and take shit. But if you go into the
You just
garage, then you
run
enter into
away.
habitation. And
Gotcha. I
so
think the law is based around the level of safety that you rob the people of, because a car is not inside a house, and people now they feel like violated, at least from what I understand. I'm not taking a stance per
yeah, I don't
se.
know exactly what it is, but I mean, it makes sense to me at this point. I mean, you go in there and you burglarize a house, you burglarize a car, it's a little bit different. There are
Right, right.
people in there.
Yeah.
You know, if we pulled someone out of the car and took their shit, that'd probably be a felony too, right? But because there's no one in the car, it's a misdemeanor.
Right. Then
But
you're not, yeah, it's a non-violent crime. It's
yeah,
potentially violent if you're, and then also, I mean, the way that crimes escalate too, that when people start, like not observing other people's space is when they start attacking and killing them.
yeah, I agree with that. Whatever it was, I was there. I got busted. And I had a prior. The rest of my friends either got bailed out by their parents or got off on some kind of probation or something because they had never been arrested before. But because I had been arrested a month earlier, I had to sit in jail and wait to get my penance for that. And then I had to wait before. Basically, I took a plea deal. So they offered me. They said they'll drop all the charges for the organized crime if I plead guilty to the organized crime. They'll give me 3 months in a prison boot camp and 10 years probation. But before I could go to the boot camp, prison boot camp. Yeah, it's like if you're under a certain age and it's like non-violent. It's like literally, it's like run by like Marine drill instructors. So you go and it's treated like a military boot camp where you go and you like, you wake up, you exercise, and then you go out and you work, and you're all bunked together and shit, and they yell at you and treat you like a grunt or whatever you want to call it. They call it PT. They PT you.
Gotcha. Physical training and submission.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But before I could go do that, I had to go back to Dallas County to answer for the previous thing I did a month earlier. And so I had to sit there for 3 months and wait to go to court for that. And then finally I got lucky and my lawyer kind of got both counties to wrap everything up in that one plea deal.
Okay.
So basically I just had to finish out and do the 3 months boot camp, 10 years probation, and it all went away.
So they kind of recognize that like a kid is just bucking wild as kids do.
Yeah, it was a scrawny little kid, and I would not have done well. They basically scared the shit out of me. So they basically said if you don't take this plea deal, the maximum sentence that we could give you for a first degree organized crime felony is 20 years in jail.
Jeez.
And so I was like.
And
so I could have fought it. I could have
right.
Maybe won, but maybe not. And then, I probably would have ended up with a couple of years or something like that. But are you going to take that chance?
Right.
You don't know.
Nice.
That's
I did do it.
Has become, yeah.
Yeah, like, and I was caught red-handed.
You to expedite this for us. It will make our lives easier. Just admit to a crime or whatever, so we can all move on.
Yeah. So I took a plea deal. I did my 3 months in a prison boot camp, and then the day I got it, while I was in jail, my parents moved to Denver. No, they moved to Arizona. I lived in Arizona 6 months in between Dallas and Denver, but that was just a little blip.
Where did you live in Arizona?
My parents moved. What's that?
Where did you live in Arizona?
I lived in Arizona. Okay, so I was in jail from June 29th, 1996 to May 5th, 1997. Nice. And then the day I got out of jail, my dad picked me up, and the very next day we drove to Tucson. So I lived in Tucson from for summer of 97 to spring of 98 maybe, or winter of 98. And then we moved up to Denver. I guess, 1998 we moved to Denver.
I gotcha.
So I was there for 6 months in Arizona.
I have a friend coming on the show who is from Tucson, who I met in Chicago, and then who's now back in Tucson. Yeah, fun times. She was actually there when you're there, but I think she was in high school at the time. It's very unlikely you guys have run into each other. Cool. So
I knew a couple of guys I live in Oro Valley, which is on the west edge. So Oro Valley, I don't know if it's technically, it's in the complex of Tucson, but it would be a suburb of Tucson, I guess.
Oh, I got you.
I don't know. Tucson's a big place. I would be surprised if any of the people that I knew her. I wouldn't know her, that's for sure. I only knew a handful of people because I was there for 6 months, and I pretty much just worked and hung out with my family and fucking
Yeah,
thank the Lord that I was fucking
Was it
sleeping in a bed.
was it good to for you to get out of Texas? Did that help?
Oh yeah,
Is that what they were
oh,
sort
yeah.
of where your parents looking to do? Like, hey, if we get out of Texas, you won't be like with your old friends and new
Well,
start.
my parents, yeah, my parents moved from Dallas to Arizona, whatever. Had nothing to do with me. It was
Okay.
my dad's work. So, and I was 18 by the time, I was 18, so I could have stayed in Dallas if I wanted to, but they were pushing for me to come, get away. I don't know. I don't know what would happen if I'd have stayed in Dallas. I still have some of my very best friends in life. I live in Dallas. I still talk to them on a regular basis. Some of them, are good, clean, got their lives together. I got a buddy who's like, plays like semi-pro golf. Like, he was a banger back in the day. And like, people get their lives together. But I also have a couple of pals back in the day that are dead now from overdoses and shit like that.
Jeez,
So
right?
I think I got pretty lucky. But no, my parents they were happy to have me, but they didn't move there for that reason. But it was a smart play in my life to just leave the very next day, get out, get the fuck out of there, and then it kept me clean for many many years. I was pretty until I turned 21. So it was like 2 3 years there. I was like completely clean, nothing. And then, I turned 21 and I was drinking and stuff like that. And I'd smoke a little pot here and there. But, it wasn't, it was probably 4 or 5 years after I moved to Denver that I even ran into anybody, that had anything like that. And so I think, some guy I worked with was like, hey, you want to pack your beak? And I was like, fucking, I've been a couple of beers. It's been a few years. I can probably handle it now.
Right. Yeah, exactly. That's
It
always the
was
thought.
a while I saw myself. So, yeah. I don't know. It's always a battle. It's always a battle with stuff like that. You just gotta, you know, you try and play the tape forward. Anytime it comes up, you have to be like, okay, where is this going? What is
That's
this going to be
definitely an
next?
AA term.
You
I'm glad
know?
you're explaining it. Yeah, exactly. Like, what would happen next if I do this? What happens next? At least you make sure you think
Yeah,
about the
yeah. What
future.
next?
Yeah,
Yeah. Is it just going to be this one time? That's it?
right.
Are you
Like
are
a
you,
break
are you going
is
to
not
just
how you normally
okay,
think.
just a once a month? And then like, oh, okay, only if I run into this one guy, and then it's just, it's the same thing with cigarettes. It's the same thing with whatever. I'll just have a couple drags. I'll just have a couple drags with the cigarette because we're drinking here at this barbecue. And then pretty soon it's like, okay, I'll only smoke when I'm drinking. And then you're like, you know what? I'll buy a pack, but I'll keep it at your house, and that way I don't have to bum off of you. And then you get driving by on Wednesday to go in and grab a cigarette out of his house, and then leave. And then you're buying cigarettes, and all of a sudden you're a smoker again.
Right,
It's the
right.
same thing with drugs. It's the same thing with anything that's addictive, alcohol, drugs, whatever it is.
Whatever you're
It's
thinking.
good. You want what you want it, and you're willing to do whatever it takes to get it. And then you lie to yourself in order to get it done.
Yeah, well, and then also you've given the alternate perspective, which is, that all you have to do is just like begin to look forward and recognize that, what this habit does to you and why you don't want it. Um, you know, some people, for them, abstinence is not something that they need. For some people,
Hold
there's
on.
substances that they do need to do that on because, when they start doing a little, they always do a lot. So
Hold on. Oh, there you are. I think I got you back. Oh, there we go.
did
Can you
I
guys see me still?
did I lose
I
you?
can
Yeah.
see you. You're
Oh,
frozen.
Is that
nope. You definitely are eyeballing us. If you were, if you came over to my window looking like that, I would definitely be scared. You were a cop or something.
I look like a cone head. We're from France.
Yeah. Yeah, we can hear you fine, but yeah, definitely no image. Uh,
What the fuck
did
is wrong with that?
moving. Um, we are going to take a little break real quick. So if you want to disconnect and try to reconnect and see if that helps at all, I was just going to call out that this is a Cox and Space podcast. It's it's one of the Wigwag shows, and this is behind the scenes. We're doing behind the Secret Sunday Flicking with Skip here with Ryan Williams. If you're interested in checking out and getting more involved with Cox and Space, you can go to coxinspace.com. It's coxinspace.com. We just had we set up our new, if you want to check out the shows, upcoming guests, get some samples of what the shows look like, you can do that. Coxinspace/shows. It's up there. Also, our contacts. We just got our all the new performers, so their headshots up there, so you can see who's doing voices with us. Uh, very exciting. And also you can connect with the Discord. So you can come hang out with us live on the Discord when we do our podcasts, hang out in the green room beforehand, hang out afterwards with our guests and connect with them. And you can get connected with our Patreon, keep the show rolling. Now, just $5 a month gets you connected with us, and that is very much appreciated. Let's be a part of the show, and you are a co-producer on the show. It means you get paid out when the show gets paid out, so good things there. That just starts at $5 a month and is cumulative. So also, if you are an interesting person and you want to talk about interesting things, you can do that by connecting through the Facebook with Aaron Cosbiel. Just shout out to him, let him know what you want to talk about, and we'll get you on the show and we can talk about it. Also, since our calendar is up, you can see what's convenient for you, and we can talk about that. So tonight we're talking with Ryan Williams, who is a good friend of ours, improviser who has led an interesting life, just being an interesting person. I've personally always found that to be true when hanging out with you. So I was glad that we were able to get you on here. And you're back. Well,
Okay. Was I supposed to leave?
what's that?
What?
Was I supposed to leave?
No, you were all good. I was inviting you because I was going to do a shout out, but I knew it was going to take a couple of minutes. So if you needed a time to like reboot, that you were able to do that. So
Got it. Got it.
glad to have you here tonight.
All right, cool. Well,
Do you have any socials that you want to shout out for like people to follow you on? Is there any like projects you're working on that
no,
people should know about? I didn't know
no,
if
I
you
don't.
were like
I don't.
committed to being a dad now, right, or something.
Yeah, no, I mean, I did a complete, 180 on my whole career about 5 years ago, 3 4 years ago.
Really?
Um, when I
Okay.
left Chicago, because I got married, I had two little kids. Um, and my family lives in Denver, and my wife's family lives here in Connecticut. And so we decided we wanted to be closer to some family, especially for the girls. And it was right in the middle of the pandemic, and we were in this tiny little condo on the north side of Chicago.
Oh,
And
geez.
so we're like, we're to get the fuck out of here. So we moved to Connecticut, and once you have children, everything changes. So you're no longer just, I can have an acting career with top ramen years and roasted potato years,
Wait.
where I make, maybe $5,000 in the whole year making acting, and
Right.
and then I can live off, in nips and treats and shit.
Right. Right.
But once you have kids, and as an actor, not every year, you're not going to make 15, 20 grand every year, and even that's not enough, you know.
Right.
Um,
Absolutely
and
fair.
so I was bartending on the side. There's no benefits. There's no 401k. There's no guaranteed salary. There's no none of that.
Right. Right.
So at a certain point, I basically said, this is, I got to do something because I'm no longer the most important person in my life. So
Yeah.
I went to school for nursing. I became a nurse. So
Oh,
now I
cool.
work. Now I work in an emergency room in a hospital as an emergency nurse, and which is
That
a comedy there, I'll tell you.
I
But
would. Yeah. That explains why your schedule is so hard to, first of all, line up. So thank you for taking the time in order to meet with us so that you could do that. Um,
no,
And then
Good. And I
also,
honestly, it's great. I work 12-hour shifts. I work 3 shifts a week. So I get 4 days off a week. The problem is I just have to work every other weekend. So every other weekend, Friday and Saturday, there's nothing I can do because I work from 7 in the morning to 7:30 at night.
yeah, exactly. You're kind of
So
committed to
this is
doing
my
that.
weekend off. Yeah.
So I mean, yeah, no, that's not a bad schedule for you. I think it just kept falling on the days that we were meeting, when you had those long stretches, which is awesome. Um, yeah, and I think, 'cause we had other people who were getting lined up as well. But yeah, no, it's so I just want to call out because this is one of the reasons I think that you commented on this, and it was a while since I'd heard that, so it's surprising news to me again. Um, but yeah, you went from carjacking in Dallas, and now you're working in the ER. Um, you know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Um, and so,
And honestly, nobody at my work knows any of this stuff. So I don't plan on. I apologize. I don't plan on advertising this podcast to
that's
any of the folks that I work
no,
with.
yeah, that's definitely not the
Because
reason that we had you on here. It's really, I mean, I have discovered that the more we sit down and talk with people that we have found interesting through the years, the more we find out that, like there's like interesting stuff to talk about with them. So yeah, it's for its own audience. So it's not for your friends and
I
neighbors.
just
oh yeah,
wanted a chance
well,
to hang out.
and
So
all of my friends, all the people that I know that you guys know, all the people in Chicago, all my friends in Dallas and Denver, all my real friends, they know all this about me. So I don't hide that from anybody.
Yeah, and
But
it's
in the nursing world, uh, uh, I think that my managers at work would probably be a little concerned to hear that I've had an issue with drugs my whole life.
I mean,
do they know that you did
Considering that
improv
I mean,
or did
I,
comedy at
I
all?
manage and I administer and I give IV narcotics all day long. You know what I'm
gotcha,
saying?
right.
Yeah.
You
Yeah. So that's something that they don't know about me and that I didn't advertise.
would you prefer if I don't put your face on?
No, this is fine. No,
Okay.
don't take this the wrong way, but I doubt any of my people at work are going to find this podcast.
That's probably, and I won't take that the wrong way. Although, yeah, I
Yeah,
think
I
we have
don't
enough
mean
people
any
for you
offense in
to.
that. It seems like a very niche audience. And most
It
of the
is
people at work, they're all nurses and stuff. They don't do comedy. They're not in entertainment. They're not, you know. So yeah, I'm not super worried about it. That's quite all right. I would have blocked my face, but and most of the people at work I probably could talk to about this. It's just probably the management that would probably like kind of give it a weird eye thing at it,
right.
side
Yeah,
eye me.
yeah, exactly. Always with any corporate entity, especially one that includes an HR, you need to play your cards as close to the chest as possible because they are not your friends. Um, you might
No,
get along with them
no,
and be able to
they can be
socially like,
friendly. They can be
yeah, and be
friendly, but
friendly, of course. But they're not your friends.
yeah.
So, that a corporation has no
Yeah,
friends
so
except
I
for
was going to say with the theme, I have turned my life around several times throughout my life. Every 10 years or so, I seem to tear it all down and then fix it.
that.
Now that you're a father, how do you feel about drugs?
Oh, I mean,
Has it changed anything?
I still think about them romantically. There's still times that I think about it.
I mean, the
I
vortex
do.
was super fun.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, and I'll tell you, I welcome. Uh, I would encourage most people to at least try some drugs in their life. I wouldn't say cocaine is one of them. I don't think
Right, right.
methamphetamines is one of them. I don't think heroin is something I'd
Those
recommend.
are, yeah, those are
And I've tried
non-dabble
all
drugs
those.
for sure.
Yeah, and I've tried all those. I
Yeah,
don't
yeah,
recommend any of those to you,
yeah.
but I would recommend that people try, some mushrooms in their life with some LSD. I
True.
think ecstasy is a great drug if it's done in the right setting with the right people.
Ryan, I was
I
literally
mean,
just saying
my
that last
perspective
night.
on life is
Yeah,
Saying
like
what?
I was telling the story how I learned to dance because I dropped ecstasy when the music was hitting. And then for some reason it like
Yeah.
tripped something in my brain that like I was like, "Oh, that's how you dance." Where I had no idea
Yeah.
before. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's true. Hmm. I totally know what you mean.
One
I
time on
think
acid,
I think
I learned how
because
to,
of those drugs.
sorry.
No, go ahead.
Like after a trip one time, I learned how to draw because I realized how proportions worked, and I had never known what that was before. And so I started just drawing things in scale to each other. I was like, oh yeah, that's the I didn't practice it, but the stuff that I drew immediately afterwards still shocks me. Where I'm like, holy crap! Like how did I draw that?
Oh yeah, I watched the sidewalk breathe. I learned how the sidewalk breathes.
Okay, what? Wow.
I mean, yeah. The thing is, you just learn. Uh, it does trigger something. I feel like I before all those drugs, I was there was something that wasn't something sad. You know, like I wasn't as happy or well adjusted, or there was something. I think there was something a little broken in me. I think there's still something broken in me,
Fair in all of
but I
us.
remember
We're alive.
because I was always socially awkward. I was always super self conscious.
It's so weird
Um,
hearing you say
I
that.
never had. I could never like just go up to anybody and start talking to them at a party or something like that. I was just way too nervous. I was way too worried about what other people thought of me, things like that. And then I remember after trying ecstasy and doing LSD and things like that all changed for me. Like I basically just like came to terms with who I was
Yeah,
and
fair.
accepted myself for who I was and realized that people liked me actually. And so it was a huge switch after trying some of those drugs. And so, I think there is some, positive aspects to it. But if you have an addictive personality, maybe
Fair,
not. I don't know.
fair.
Fair.
The drugs will never solve your problems. What I think, especially psychedelics, will do is they'll open your eyes to see the situation for what it is. But it's always up to you to whether or not you're going to fix it. Um,
Yeah.
and sometimes like cocaine will make you feel like, there's nothing to fix. But, or like, yeah,
Yeah. The problem
amphetamines.
is cocaine's a really selfish drug. When you're on
Yeah.
cocaine, you just want to tell everyone about yourself. You
Yep.
don't want to listen to anybody.
You don't give a fuck at all. Yeah. No, that's you realize people who like have done cocaine for a long period of time. I was in a rehab for a while, like 6 years a while. And that was the thing, like you could tell who had been like was really into that because that's how they still talk even when they were no longer on the drug.
Yep. Yep. Yeah. If you ever be in a room full of people doing cocaine, it's just everybody who wants to tell you all about themselves.
Yeah.
You know. Whereas when you get in a room full of people on LSD or ecstasy, they're just like, "Oh man, tell me all about you." You know.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's fix
It's
up the
just
world.
there's more of a love vibe to it. There's a reason why like stockbrokers and like all these people like that love to do cocaine because it's just a very like glowy, just I don't know. It's just not a, and it doesn't last very long, and it's never as good after you do it the first time. So if you do a line of cocaine,
Facts. Facts.
20 minutes later, you got to do another one, and then it doesn't feel as good as the first time, and then it's just like a half life. The half life gets smaller and smaller and smaller, and by the end of the night, you're just doing line after line after line, and you're just fucking completely geeked out. It's not a good
Right.
drug.
It's not a good drug. That was like my biggest
No.
qualm with it. I was like, damn it, dude. Like, you kidding? Like, again? Like, again? Like, my jaw hurt.
Yeah, yeah.
It's like, I don't,
It,
And
again?
then, well, and then eventually it's got to run out, and then you have to sit, in a chair or in a bed or somewhere wide awake for hours, just like this, just feeling like shit. You're like, sucks. I'm a loser. I'm a fucking
Exactly.
loser. My life sucks. You're fucking miserable. What are you doing? What are
What
you
am I
doing?
doing?
I never do this again.
Yeah.
Never again. and then you finally
Right.
fall asleep, and then you wake up and you feel like shit for a day,
Ab-
and then you wake up 2 days later and you're like, oh, that was pretty cool. We should do that
yeah.
again.
I should maybe do that again. Like, Dan, did you not remember anything about that experience?
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just
people.
forget all the misery.
If you improvise on cocaine, is it whose line is it anyway?
Oh, jeez, Eric Cosgrove.
That's
So, Ryan,
that's
you'll be
about
glad to
the
know that
Cosgrove line I could
Cosgrove is
think of.
still classic
Well,
pun
if it's
delivery.
cocaine, it's not whose line is it anyway. It's hey, that's my line.
That's my line.
Hey, that's mine. Hands
My
off.
line.
That's my line.
That's my line. Oh,
You can have one little bump and then I get the line. I think that's the name of the show.
yeah, exactly. But basically, it's all mine.
Yep. Yep. This is
Um,
all mine. I might give you a bump.
and you can, yeah,
Starring Drew Carey.
take out the residue out this bag and rub it on your gums. Like, no, man. It's yeah, like just oh god, it's such just the life of a user. Just I like even when you're there, you realize it sucks. But you just try to ignore it for a little bit longer.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like survival mode. You don't even realize what you're doing until you're out of it. If you're lucky enough to get out of it,
Right, if you can get
which I
out of
have been a few times. Then once you're out of it, you're like, Jesus Christ, what the fuck was I doing?
it. It's a whole other world.
What was I doing? Anyway,
Yeah.
once I've
So,
been through it a few times, and you always think you can manage it, you know?
but no, you can't. And
Well,
that's the thing. It's like you're really not supposed to like be managing it, especially not alone. Like it's people are supposed to be like together in their situations, actually. And I think one
yeah.
of the reasons we run into
That's what
addiction is
they
because
say. Yeah, that's what they say is the cure for it is
yeah,
community.
like absolutely, I will tell you 100%. um that it's like when you're involved with people and people are more important to you than the things that you want to like make yourself happy with, then like there you don't think about it. There's no like why would you do that when you have kids? Like why would you do that when you have to go to your job to make sure that your kids have food to eat and clothes on their backs, right? Like so
Yep. And that's why things like Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous and stuff like that works because it gives you a community. Something inside of the addict is broken, right? You
right.
need people. They even did a study. I'm sure you've heard it. I think like everybody's heard of it by now. They did a study on rats where they put a rat in a cage with with two water droppers, one with regular water and one laced with cocaine. And when the rat was by itself, it would try the cocaine and then it would just continuously do the one with cocaine until it died.
Just yeah, keep
But
pushing
then
it.
they set up like a rat utopia with like all the things a rat could want, other rats, food, things to play with, a whole community of other rats, and then they put the same two droppers, one with cocaine, one with water, and all the rats tried the cocaine, but then they just stopped doing it and they just used the regular water.
Right, they
I
don't they
had
don't
heard
need to
that
do
one.
that.
That
They
was
have
great.
everything they need. Yeah.
Yeah,
um
they had everything they needed. So they wouldn't. So obviously, there's something that's missing for people who have addiction issues. There's something missing, or there's something broken, or some sort of trauma in their life that's not fixed. You know.
and we've been
Well,
talking
I don't
about
know.
this a
This
lot
doesn't need to be a
on a lot of
podcast
our
about
shows.
fixing addiction. By the way.
Just how American culture is designed to isolate the individual, so that they can just be a part of the machine and be like a producer basically as part of the machine. Um, and then also in
You
coordination
can
with
do a
that.
whole, you can do a whole series of podcasts on that.
Oh yeah, and we generally have it. Just keeps popping up. We see it in more and more places. And that happened, in a couple of times as we've talked about addiction is like it's because, and I noticed that when I was in rehab too, is like um people feel alone, and that's what they're trying to do is fill that void with something else. So yeah, no, that's cool, and I'm glad that you've turned around in a place, and now you actually you're in a high paced job, like a fast paced job, which I'm sure for the adrenaline rush is like, it's necessary to like use it for something, right? And then at the same time, you're in a place where you're helping other people, so you recognize that you have like a valuable place within your community. True or not true?
Yeah, it's actually interesting because being an actor and being an improviser, not so much an improviser, but being an actor, it's kind of a selfish lifestyle. You have to be. You kind of have to run yourself like a business,
Yeah, that's
and
fair.
so it's everything's about me. Me. I gotta go get my headshots. I'm gonna go to my audition so I can go do my part and make my money.
Yeah.
And so, and you'll find a lot of people that really succeed in that business are naturally like narcissists and things like that. You always
No
wonder why
surprise, right?
the kind of the biggest assholes kind of make it the highest up.
Yeah.
It doesn't happen all the time. There's also some very nice people who got very deserving opportunities and had great careers.
Yeah, for
But
sure.
people have been narcissism in that. And so it's a very selfish existence. You're constantly working about what am I doing for myself. And that's kind of how I've always lived my life is very self-focused. And then once you have kids, it kind of opens up because something bigger, something more than just you.
Okay,
And
fair.
so when I stopped doing acting, I wanted to try and find some sort of career that was surrounded with that wasn't as selfish as
Hmm.
I kind of had been living,
The least
and
amount of
nursing
self.
kind of fit that perfectly. And it fit with the other skills that I already had in my life. You know, as a bartender, we used to multitasking with multiple different people and fast paced and being on my feet and working with people. Comedy,
Okay,
I'm good
fair,
at
fair.
talking to people. I can make people laugh, things like that. And so nursing just kind of fit with that. But yeah, you're right. It is. It's kind of it's a less self focused place to be, and it gives you a little bit of pride. So I've been really enjoying it for the last couple of years.
That's really cool. How difficult was it to get all the schooling? Did you already have you had like your GED or like a high school diploma and like some college or like how was that
So
for
yeah,
you?
so I got GED. When I moved to Denver, after I went through all that stuff, all the jail and all that stuff, um, I had I had dropped out of high school before graduating. So the first thing I did, actually in Arizona, I got my GED in Arizona
Nice.
in the 6 months that I was there. And then when I moved to Denver, I went to college for, I didn't know what I wanted to do, but I know I wanted to go to college. So I took a bunch of different classes. That's how I found acting. That's kind of how I got into improv and comedy and all that kind of stuff.
Right. Okay, gotcha.
But I left before graduating. So I had like probably, I don't know, 95, 100 credits or something like that. I think it was 120 to graduate. But I knew I wanted to be an actor,
Right.
and nobody gives a shit about degrees in acting. They just,
That's
you
that's fine.
audition, you get your
Yeah.
resume, can you do the part? So they didn't really, I didn't finish. So I didn't actually get my bachelor's degree, even though I went through, 4 or 5 years of college and did all the classes. I just didn't do like those higher level math classes and English classes and stuff like that. So when I went back to school for nursing, um, some of those credits transferred over,
Oh, cool.
but
Okay.
going from an arts path to a science path is a little bit different. So I
That's
had to do
totally
almost
fair.
about a year and a half, almost 2 years of classes for prerequisites before I could even enter the nursing school. So it ended up being about a 4 year process, three and a half, 4 year process to get my nursing associate's degree in nursing.
Dang. Okay, cool.
Um,
But obviously you're like, yeah, that's worth it. I mean, you've been doing it the last couple of years. You also, I mean, you didn't have to pick the ER, um, from what I understand, right?
no, and I didn't start there. I didn't start there. I started out as a float nurse at the same hospital I'm at now, but I didn't know I'd never worked in a hospital before in my life, so I had no idea what I wanted to do. So they have what's known as float nurses that you come in every day to work and they send you to the place that needs help in the hospital.
Okay.
So it could be a med surg floor, it could be the ICU, it could be the emergency room, it could be hospice care. You might be at the infusion center across the street. It just depends where they need somebody, who called in sick, where are they short staffed. And I did that for about a year and a half.
Okay.
And then I just decided I enjoyed being down in the emergency room the most. So they'd float you down to the emergency room, and I always just had a great time when I was down there. So last December, we took a full-time position down in the emergency room. So I've been there. I've been full-time in the emergency room since the beginning of December. So
Gotcha.
8 9 months.
No, no boring days where you're at. A boring day is actually probably the best thing.
Rare, rare. But we like those days.
Right, yeah, for sure. Um, it's been a couple of years. I'm not necessarily looking for gore stories. What's the what situations are you seeing on regular coming into the ER where you're at? Because
So
you see
many
you're
things.
not in a metropolitan area anymore, right? Oh, I'm sorry.
No,
I missed your cue.
I'm in a non-trauma hospital. So there's like trauma one hospital, trauma two hospitals. I'm in a
Internal
small
trauma hospitals.
hospital. With that,
Internal trauma hospitals.
yes, internal trauma hospitals. Yes,
I really got to
we
talk to
specialize
somebody in
in
emergency.
trauma to the butthole trauma. Um, no, so we don't get gunshot wounds. We don't
Okay.
get stabbings.
Okay, gotcha.
At least not from the ambulances. So
Okay.
if somebody walks into the front door with a gunshot wound, we are required by law to treat them,
Of course, gotcha.
or at least stabilize them for transfer. So they'll come to our hospital. If you're of a certain level, then you get sent to Yale or Hartford or Bridgeport Hospital. Those are like the big trauma hospitals.
Gotcha. The places who are more
So what I
open.
see most of the day, we see a lot of sepsis cases, a lot of heart attacks, a lot of strokes, things like that. Those are probably like the high end of the
Gotcha.
things. So mostly people, a lot of people are septic. A lot of old folks that fall down, confusion, a lot of heart issues. A lot of people with heart issues. I mean, that's the number one killer in the world is heart
Right.
stuff. So
It's
heart disease.
easy to die of a broken heart. Well, I'm sure that, I mean, like, there's a lot of things. I didn't mean to get all weird and morose in the last half hour of the show. Um,
No, it's okay.
no, but like, there's a lot of things that can go wrong with the heart. Like, it's not because it's not like, I mean, muscles can fail. You can have cholesterol that builds up. You can have clots that go through
Yep.
there. Right? Like, just like, so, I mean,
Yeah, it's all kinds of stuff. I mean, heart disease is the number one killer in America. It's I'll tell you if they eliminated cigarettes, alcohol, and sugar, then hospitals would be we'd be out of business.
okay,
You
gotcha.
know.
Because you're talking about the buildup of the heart. Okay, and then also same thing because
Oh,
everything's
yeah.
going through there, like because the blood
It's
is being
all
washed.
it's red meat, it's sugar, it's cigarettes, and because people are dying of lung disease, heart disease, um, and alcohol and cigarettes contribute to all that. They're putting so much sugar and shit in our food that like
Yeah, fair,
we're
fair.
just the unhealthiest we've ever been. You know, even though you say our life expectancy is so much better now, but you know, that's a whole conversation as well. But
Yeah, actually,
yeah,
what are your thoughts?
a lot
That
of
was kind of
problems.
where I was
There's a
going
lot
with
of things
that.
that can go wrong with the heart.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you, what? I mean, so you're not a doctor, obviously, and does not to diminish what you're doing. I'm pointing out that any advice that you're about to give from the question I'm asking is not like doctor recommended. It's just sort of like the opinion of the person who's observing people where they're at. Um, so what do you think that Americans should be doing in the environment that we live in? You know, that you're saying that it is so unhealthy from everything.
Hold on one
So
second.
obviously the top two is stop smoking, stop drinking.
Yeah, yeah. If you're smoking cigarettes, stop right now. It is. Oh my God, it is the worst way to die. I've watched.
Uh,
I mean, it's basically like drowning above water. It's the worst because you get the problem is you get CO2 trapping in your lungs, and then you can't get oxygen in, and people are just sucking wind. They're literally just drowning out here. No water or anything. It's the worst way to die.
Oh
It's
my
terrible.
God.
Smoking,
I
and all through nursing school, you think about everything that can go wrong with your body. Cigarettes is bad for your lungs, your heart. It contributes to atherosclerosis, your arteries hardening, your brain, your skin. It's bad for everything. There's absolutely nothing good about smoking. So, and I smoked for 26 years, so
you're like
I
also
get it.
yeah like
Yeah, I'm all set. The people I see coming in there and dying because they won't stop smoking. It's just heartbreaking. So if you're smoking cigarettes out there in TV land, quit it. Don't do it. And vaping too. Vaping is getting worse. I saw a guy in the ICU a few months ago that was basically on a respirator, and I think he died, but he was in the ICU for 3 months from vaping. Now he was vaping all day long. He had like he smoked cigarettes most of his life, and he quit smoking cigarettes using vaping, and then he worked like a warehouse or something like that, and he would sit at his desk and he could just vape while he worked, and so he vaped all day long,
oh
and then he
geez.
just couldn't breathe anymore. He was probably popcorn lung or something like that. But he couldn't breathe anymore, and we couldn't get his oxygen up, and we had to put him on a ventilator. So a tube down the throat, medication to keep you knocked out, and artificial lung breathing for you. It's really fucking sad. So
Yeah.
yeah,
So as the
vaping,
number one killer of
it's terrible.
something you can avoid, stop smoking
Yep,
and stop vaping.
yep.
Because you don't want to do that to yourself. If you're a selfish person, you don't want to do that to your kids. One of the things you said is he was in the hospital for 3 months, and I was like, oh my God, he left somebody that bill also, just because of American health system
I have no
and
idea.
how expensive that
I have
is. You
no
know what I'm
idea
saying?
what his insurance situation was, but
Yeah, that's expensive
and he had a
whoever
wife
picks
and
up the
kids.
tab.
Yep, he had a wife and kids, and he wasn't old. He was probably, I don't know, mid-50s, maybe.
No.
Yeah. Yeah.
We are not that age. I think you're a little bit older than me, but quickly hurdling all of us towards that age. You don't realize when you're in your 20s how much the choices that you make at that point add up to the things that happen to you later. But it's totally true. Like when you tweak out your knee because you're playing rough, like whatever, Ultimate Frisbee was my thing. That's going to keep affecting you for the next decades of your life. When you get
Oh, yeah.
addicted to things, it continues to affect you. Like it's something you have to continue to think about. Um, so
Oh,
yeah.
yeah. I got two little kids. I got a 5-year-old and an 8-year-old. And I would love to be jumping on the trampoline with them and running around and stuff. And just like my body, I was too brutal to my body,
Facts.
I was into extreme sports. I was, throwing myself around doing kumate for years. And,
I mean, for our
my back
enjoyment,
can't
we
handle it.
appreciated that.
I tried to jump on the trampoline the other day. I lasted 5 minutes. I was like, okay, girls, I'm going to go inside. You guys have fun.
They're like, Dad,
Just,
why? You're like, you have no idea how much you've missed before you arrived here.
yeah, no. I wish I was better
Is
than
there
myself, that's for sure.
Yeah.
But,
is there video somewhere of Kumate?
um, yeah, I think there is some videos. Somewhere I had, somewhere online, I know Jonathan Pitts
Yep.
put together, Jonathan Pitts,
I
right?
do. Yeah, yeah. I haven't
He
heard his name in a long time. That's why I
Chicago
was like
Improv Productions.
nostalgic.
He ran the Chicago Improv Festival for, I don't know, 20 years or something like that.
Yeah.
But he was trying to promote some stuff to colleges, and so the college, like every year there's like an expo where you can pay to come in and advertise yourself to all these colleges for entertainment, right? I'm sure cause you probably know about this, right? Like a
Yeah,
lot of
it's a
Yeah,
big
comedians
thing
do it
NACA
as
for
well.
was it?
Okay, was it NACA? Is that what it's called?
Yeah, NACA is colleges.
That's it. So he put something together for NACA, and I had a friend of mine, and so he asked me if I wanted to put Kumate as part of Chicago Improv Productions' portfolio for that. And so I put together like a smash cut like reel for Kumate.
That's
I know
awesome.
I've got it somewhere. It's on one of my computers or it's somewhere online. But there's also you can find shows online, I think.
Okay.
If not like some small clips and things like that.
So I
I
did
might be able
look
to give you that
this
info,
time.
and then if you wanna like hyperlink it off of this, you might be able to find. I might be able to find some stuff. I think I have to do some digging.
I
And
didn't
then it would be
I
like
didn't
super
look
professional.
this time, but I have found it before online. And I think with some quick Googling, I'll be able to find it again. So yeah, if I can find some Kumite, just for anyone who is wanting to see what we're talking about, they're like, there's no way it's as epic as you're talking about. And actually,
Yeah.
I don't think, unfortunately, the video is not going to do it justice. But I think that they will catch like just how amazing that show was to see live because it's never something you've seen
Yeah,
before, that's for sure.
it is a different beast live. It is. I think it is meant for live. Like I don't think it was something that you could do on TV and get away with. You know,
Uh,
it seems all improv. All improv. That's it's kind of this gestalt thing that has to be experienced as a
100%.
community, like in the room. You know.
I've noticed that about filmed improv. There was a TJ and Dave show that I saw live one time that I was like, that's amazing. And they're like, oh, we filmed it. And I was like, I want to see the tape. And even though I was there and like the improv was still good, it wasn't as magical as it was the moment that I saw it. And it was like that, it was this weird
Yeah.
transference to the secondary viewer that like lost something in translation. It was
Yeah.
quality. They said
Especially
all the
long
same
form,
lines,
like
just
the
no
short
TJ.
form.
I'm sorry, please.
Like short form works, like the whose line is it anyway, stuff like that, like worked, right? Because of the game based nature of it. I think it worked on. And you know, when whose line is it anyway, they would film for 3 hours and then they would take the best 30 minutes and then put it as a show.
Easy.
But the
Easy
best I saw
peasy.
done, yeah. And so
Right.
the
That'd
best
be a
I saw
nice
done
show.
for long form is when Netflix did that Middleditch and Schwartz thing. I don't know if you guys ever saw that. Did you guys ever see the Middleditch and Schwartz long form Netflix thing?
Does not sound familiar, Aaron.
I, I know Middle Ditch, but I don't know that project that you're talking.
Yeah, you'll have to check it out. They did. It was like not. It was like a taped live, obviously, but it was the two of them in a series. I think it was a 4-part series of Middleditch and Schwartz. Schwartz is what's his first name? He was on Parks and Rec. You know,
Like
I wish I
Aaron.
could just Google it here.
You can't actually. Yeah,
You're the
Thomas
internet.
no
Middleditch
one's gonna hold it
and
against you if you pull it before to do it.
hold
I don't
on.
have a hand free, and I think Aaron's on a phone. His
I
phone.
am.
Okay, so he might be able to pull it up, but we'll lose him there for a second. Um, You know what? I think you were leading into a sketch, but I don't remember why you were leading into the sketch. Anybody?
Uh, Ben Schwartz.
Oh,
Ben
okay. So
Schwartz.
That's it.
okay,
Ben Schwartz.
it bench force, big nose, curly hair. I
Curly
just
hair.
really said the
Yeah,
most stereotypical
it's
things
called
about him.
Middleditch and Schwartz on Netflix. You have to check it out.
Here's
Middleditch and Schwartz. It
okay.
actually it was really well done for a long form, which almost never works videotaped, right? Because it kind of has to
Right.
be its experience
Did
live.
wait, did you
But
say
they
they
actually did a really good
filmed
job with it.
long
It was pretty
forms?
impressive. It is filmed long form, so it's in front of a live audience at a theater, and it's
Oh,
filmed almost like you would film a stand up show or something like that. It's
okay.
just
So
a
multiple
long
camera
form
angles that they're cutting.
improv
Sweet.
show.
Okay, cool. I was just making sure I heard you correctly because I have not heard about this project at all, and like you're saying, it sounds nearly impossible what you're suggesting, because it doesn't translate well.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, it shouldn't, but they actually do a really good job. So I would recommend. I mean, good enough for Netflix. Shit, Netflix
Yeah.
put it up, so
That's awesome.
I would
Um,
check it out. It's actually pretty good.
Highly recommended. That I will have to look into it now. Um, that is awesome. So that I mean. How cool. I just paused because I was trying to again take into account like everything that we've talked about. We're about 20 minutes from the end of the show, about to wrap it up. Um, but it's just again so interesting to me like how it's possible. Now I'm not going to necessarily call it age, and it's not super important into the bigger context of the conversation, but just like I think a lot of people think that, especially in the addicts like mentality, that I am this way. I've always been broken. I always will be broken. And that's why I think it's important to have conversations where like, you know what, you can be at that point and you can feel like you're stuck, but it's not always true. And you can make choices not to be in that place. It's actually kind of the theme of this show. Cox and Space is about, reminding people that we have choices to be happy and spread joy. That's what we can do if we choose to.
Yeah, I can only speak for myself and my own journey, and I kind of feel the same way about it being a choice. Everything, I mean, life is just a series of choices, right?
Right.
But I can't speak. I can't. I also come from a pretty privileged background, and I'm in a pretty privileged place to be able to make certain choices. So I can't speak for somebody who's in just like some horrible fucking places. You
That's a,
know,
that's
like
a good
I've been through
observation.
some shit. What's that?
That's a fair observation. I'm glad you pointed that out.
Yeah, like yeah. I mean, I'd like to be able to look. My dad. I always grew up with a dad that was like, "Hey, man, life is good. You know, you got to look for the love. You got to kind of do this, like, But we also grew up pretty privileged, and so I'm not constantly having to worry about getting yanked away by the cops or it's easy to say from my point of view, and so that's how I feel about it. But I
Right.
can't speak for anybody else but my own. But
Mhm.
I do think that I daily can make the choice of whether to push towards joy or avoid it. You
You
know,
are clarifying the
I
point
kind
you
of live
make.
my life that way. Like people make fun of me at work sometimes. So I'm always like, Mister, how do you do it? You're like, are we gonna have a good day, everybody? And lots of people are just fucking old grizzled nurses that just are chronically upset, and
Right.
chronically just like, fucking another day at the hospital. God damn it. So it's
Right.
bad
Right.
someone's gonna come in here and shit the fucking bed and have to fucking wipe their asses, you know?
I mean,
So, but
it
I
probably
come
will
in every
happen.
day and I'm like, yeah, you guys ready to wipe some ass? Let's fucking do this. You know, somebody's got to wipe this guy's ass. Y'all
Yeah.
ready to
I'm here
put
to
some
wipe
creams
ass
on
and take
dicks? Let's
names.
fucking do it. You
Wipe
know,
ass,
and that's like,
wipe
it's like, what
ass,
are my
take
choices? I
names.
gotta be here putting creams on dicks and fucking wiping assholes.
Right.
And
Right.
so, what are you gonna just be sad about it all fucking day? You're just gonna go get in there and fucking wipe that dick, boy.
Right.
That's
Facts.
kind of,
The facts,
that's
dude.
just kind of how I've always lived my life. Like, if you're gonna fucking do it, let's put a smile on and fucking do it.
Right.
But both my parents are alive, and I got two beautiful kids, and neither one of them have cancer. And I live in a home with heat and a backyard, and I'm lucky enough to be able to afford a lawnmower to go mow it. And so I come from a place where it's easy to be happy, right?
I mean,
So
that there it is easy to be happy, but also I think you've come from a place where you chose to be happy about the things that you have as well. Because it wasn't always that way.
and I have a little bit of perspective in my life as well. I've been in some pretty unhappy places.
Right, right,
So at this point in my life, it's I'm not sleeping on a shit mattress in a bunk bed in some in a warehouse in East Texas.
right.
Manually plowing fields or picking cotton. So I'm doing all right.
Doing all right. Like if it's not any of those things, um, you're gonna be okay. Yeah. So and then yeah, the like because people can be in the situation that you're in as well and not be thankful for the things that they have, right? Not recognizing that it could be worse, that or that they couldn't have all these good things. Um, but like just the fact that your kids don't have cancer is something to be grateful for, because we have to remind ourselves of those
Hundred
things.
percent,
Yeah. I have a
100%.
job that I
But I
can
also
go
think
to.
about that. Like, if one of my kids was dying right now, like,
Right.
how would I, would I be able to choose to, wake up and put a smile on my face every day? Would I be able to, it
Fair,
seems easy to say now, but,
fair.
I'd like to think I'd wake up and be like, like, let's go make this the best day of her life, or whatever,
Right.
but I just don't know how I'd react to that, you know.
Yeah,
Just
You
and
never
like,
know how strong you are until you have to be strong.
and again,
yeah,
thank you for putting that balance on it. Yeah, I was being very optimistic, and you're like, and sometimes that does not even come close to what will work for anybody. Because you can't.
yeah,
What do you
exactly,
say in the face of that?
exactly. I
And
think,
then
and I'm probably, because I have a pretty optimistic point of view in life, and
right,
I always try and be somebody that I think other people would want to work with. I try
fair.
and be easy. I try and be on time. I try and have fun. I try and say yes. I try and do things like that. And I think that there is something to be said for it taking you down an easier path in life when you do things like that.
Yeah, totally.
You just find yourself in better situations with more people that are kind. When you find somebody who's a prick, you just kind of go the other way. And then
It's
somehow
not
you
worth
found
it. Yeah,
yourself surrounded by people that are kind and loving and fun and funny. And then the people who are fucking jerk offs, they can go hang out with other jerk offs, you
Yeah,
know?
they can, jerk off or something.
yeah, they can do that all
Exactly.
together.
You know?
Yeah.
And then you can pet your kitty.
Yeah.
Yeah. I feel pretty fortunate. I think, I've put myself in some shitty places, but I feel pretty fortunate to be where I'm at. And I've met a lot of really cool people in my life, like you guys, and so I can,
Same, same.
you know, and I feel like most places I go, people like me. And so I feel pretty good about that.
Yeah,
Try and bring a little joy to the world.
right, which is the purpose. Yeah. Um, yeah, because you can choose to bring joy to the world, or you can make it worse. But then somebody's you're gonna affect somebody, and so they'll either make it worse or make it better. But you can be the person who like tries to at least make it better.
Yeah, well, and it helps with my patients as well, because most people come into the hospital fucking miserable, you know. And
Right.
that's another reason I like the emergency room as opposed to upstairs. Is the emergency room is like you're the first face they see. You're the first person that has the chance to help them and help them feel safe and help them feel better and maybe make their day a little bit better. And so I feel like I'm suited to be that person, to be the person that when they come in, I can hold their hand and let them know that no matter what happens, we're going to do everything we can. And you try not to tell people that you're going to be okay. We don't do that because we
Right,
don't know.
right. It may or may not be okay, and that's not comforting either.
Yeah, and a lot of them are assholes. A lot of people come in, they're fucking pricks.
Right.
They're just fucking miserable. They can't breathe at all. They're hooked up to machines at home. They can't walk. God, can you imagine just being in a fucking bed all day long? You can't breathe, like
Right.
45 years old, and you
They're
can't walk, or
they're
you got
terrified because they're
dementia,
about to die.
or yeah. So you just gotta, and a lot of people don't know how to handle that. A lot of the nurses don't know how they take it personally or whatever. And
Right.
I'm just like, man, it's fucking, they're just fucking miserable, man. They're sad. They're unhappy. They're in pain, and all these things. Like, just just
Have,
just be there for them. That's it.
Right.
have you
And there's
tried bringing your pan flute to work?
That's probably good. That's probably good fucking shit thrown at me.
yeah, I don't
Okay.
know if
I mean,
yeah, that's the kind
you
of
know your heart,
entertainment
I
I'm
know your
looking
heart
for.
rate stops here, but let me do a little Zamfir for you. You ready?
Again, you guys haven't seen KUMATE, but pan flute. I'm sorry, it's not that's what it's actually called.
It's
But
not.
the traditional instrument, it's played throughout, but for like what like scene changes and stuff.
What,
Yeah.
the pamphlet that I played?
Yeah.
I don't know if it's actually a pan flute, but I'm
Okay.
pretty sure it is. It's like a
Okay.
series. It's like a series of bamboo like reeds that goes down. I always thought that's what the pan flute was.
Okay, yeah,
That's
I
what I
thought
always
you were.
Um,
I thought you'd called it something else, and I was like, oh, I guess I thought it was something else, but
no,
no,
it's a
okay,
pan flute,
okay.
like PAN, pan flute.
yeah.
And
If you Google it, it looks like exactly what it was used.
did you use it for scene changes, or what was it like? Something because sometimes you would use it in scenes as well.
Yeah, I used it mainly. I used it as the opener and the closer every time.
Yeah, okay,
So
that's
it
nice.
always started with the pan flute and it ended with the pan flute. But if I felt like, if especially for the longer shows, if
Hmm.
I needed to kind of break up um, the plot points or whatnot, or if I had to take us from one area to a completely different area with different people or whatnot, sometimes I would use the pan flute in between.
Okay, that's
But lots
that's
of
good.
times, especially for the shorter shows, 20 to 30 minutes I think was always best for Kumate. Always
Yeah,
worked
that's a good. I
well.
mean,
I could focus on one small thing.
yeah,
The longer shows were great, but it just took too much out of me physically. But for the shorter shows, it was usually just pamphlet at the beginning, pamphlet at the end.
right, right.
But sometimes I did use it in between, especially for longer shows.
I think I gave you 15, and but I like 15 or 20 back then, something like that.
I usually liked at least 15 so I could get something going, you know.
Well, it's like a little like
But
sitcom episode, right? Like you could have, the characters, it builds up, they meet each other. Um,
but
yeah, yeah,
if I had 15 minutes, I could do like one location with one little thing happening, some sort of relationship, some sort of thing going on. With a little bit more time, I could add some more characters, different scenes, whatever. But, sometimes it just in 5, 10 minutes, I would just do something silly with it, just like one small scene. It didn't have to really mean anything or have like a beginning, middle, and an end or
right.
whatever, just like a little snippet of something.
Well, because of
But
the
it was
thing that
always,
everyone really wanted to see was the kung fu. That was what Kumite like. So fun to watch. Because you guys,
oh yeah,
I'm gonna try to
especially when you
link in a
commit
good
really
video.
hard.
But yeah,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
it was that, yeah, it's kung fu that you were doing all the object work for, which meant dodging weapons and doing the sound effects for weapons and dodging darts and things and doing it in slow motion,
Oh, yeah.
sometimes as
And
necessary. So
it wasn't always kung fu fights too. There was some where it was like it was in the style of a kung fu fight, but it would be like cooking dinner or
oh,
like
that's right. I forgot. That's right.
people in an office supply store or it wasn't always like traditional kung fu weapons and stuff.
Right. Yeah.
It could be like a kung fu style fight, but they're making tea, or something like. I always like tried to throw in some fun things like that. That wasn't, but
Well, because that was what the suggestion was, right?
people
Like
did love the fighting. What's that?
you would take a suggestion from the audience of like a location so that you could begin, or like a relationship, something like that, right? So you could begin that setup.
Yeah, location, relationship. Sometimes I'd ask for like a summer activity or a winter activity, or
There you go.
I tried to just change up the suggestion bits. All different kinds of ways. You know, sometimes I just ask for emotion or something you were upset about in your day or whatever. Classic improv suggestion stuff.
Yeah.
Those, and then it would give you the places that you could play. Yeah, because I forgot that was the twist, is that it was kung fu, but it was always not like the type of kung fu fight you've seen before or thought you would have seen before.
Yeah, I try. I don't know. I try because I tried to keep it. I tried to make it comedic too, right?
For sure.
The thing is, like, I feel like half the Kumite shows weren't that great, in my opinion. But audiences
Disagree.
always fucking loved them
They just
because
love
it
them.
was
I mean, they've
still a
never.
fucking guy up there fighting himself.
Yeah,
No matter
exactly.
what happens, it's still some
Exactly.
fucking idiot up there fighting himself.
Fighting himself.
You know?
Yeah.
Like half the time I get off the stage, I'm like, oh man, I really fuck that plot up, or I just, like, that didn't really work for me tonight. And people were like, dude, you're fucking crazy, like, I always get great reactions from the crowd because in the end, it's still some fucking idiot up there playing the pan flute and fighting himself.
Fighting himself.
you know?
Yeah,
So
exactly.
I
And
always
so
have
again,
fun with it, though.
here we are 20 years later talking about a Kumite show because it made such an impact. Like the people called you up to like, commemorate and give like congratulate them on their wedding because they remember where their first date was. Was at a
Yeah,
Kumite show.
yeah. In fact, I know some man. I guarantee you, there's people out there that still talk about that. You remember that fucking weirdo that did that kung fu show?
Yeah,
You
exactly.
know, that
I'm
maybe saw
positive.
one time at the fucking spot bar, however many years ago. Who knows? Who knows?
Who
I
knows?
definitely take pride in it, though. It's probably one of the coolest things I've ever created, I think,
That'd be
besides
great.
my kids.
Absolutely
Uh,
unique. I was going to ask you that. Have they seen a Kumite? Like, I mean, surely he hasn't. The
Oh, they have
character
no
hasn't
idea.
died. What's that?
They have no idea how stupid their dad is.
Yeah, yeah.
Yet. Yet.
That's too
yeah.
bad. Yeah.
When will you
Yet.
introduce them to improv? Uh,
I already have. So but not like on stage or anything like that. Although you know what, I think my mom. We went for Thanksgiving a couple years ago, and my mom lived in an over 65 community, and so we were going for Thanksgiving. They live in this like co-op building with all these other old people, and they had like a common room where they were going to have like a Thanksgiving dinner thing. And my mom told everyone that I was going to do an improv show for them.
Okay.
So I didn't find this out until I flew into town. Thank God in Denver, I have my best friend lives there, and he and I did a two-man show together for years and years before I moved out to Chicago.
Oh, that's what's
And
up.
so I said, "All right, Mom, I'll do this on one condition, but you got to let my buddy Wolf come for Thanksgiving so he and I can do the show together." And my daughter was old enough to be able to enjoy it and remember it. But we did this like stupid like short form show in the fucking in like the great room at this old folks home on Thanksgiving dinner. So my daughter saw me do that, and
Well done.
we do like improv adjacent things. So like we do like storytelling with the kids where
Right.
I'll start a story and then uh, I'll pass it to them to continue the story and
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
good improv warm up games and short form games that I kind of throw into their lives because that's kind of how it's good for the brain.
yeah.
But
Keeps the
Like that
brain
thought.
fresh, right?
they don't really know how exactly how weird that is yet.
Yeah.
Not yet. But yeah, no, that's cool. Yeah, because I
Not
think it
yet.
is a good time to integrate it. It's like when kids are growing up, they should be surrounded by that kind of, the what improv does, in my opinion, what I think is really important is that it allows you to not get stuck on thoughts because you allow yourself to be open to the thoughts that are developing around you. Yeah,
Yeah,
that I mean that's
yeah.
what it is like.
It's really listening.
Sorry.
No, I said it's big on listening.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. That's you summed up what I was trying to say is that that thought, yeah, that you're like what somebody else is saying to you is much more important than what you have in your own brain. So in order to get out of your head, you can just, hear what people have to say to you, and what the world is saying to you,
That's the
what the
hardest
scene
thing.
is. Yeah.
That's the hardest thing about the whole thing is not to try and plan ahead anything. Because as soon as you start thinking of something, the guy across the room is going to say something completely opposite, and you got to just drop it all.
Yeah, you just have to roll with where the conversation is going. And I found that I was not really great at that as an improviser years and years ago, but the more that I practiced that through the years, like just in regular conversation, the more I found like actually the more that I'm just like paying attention to the other person, the easier my life is. Like because people love to talk about themselves, cocaine or not, right? Like they just, they just to have somebody listen to them.
Yeah, yeah.
You get the
No,
call back there.
improv is therapy for me, man. Improv is therapy for me because I'm a terrible listener by
100%.
nature. Just a
Yeah,
terrible
yeah.
listener,
And I think a
and
lot of people
so
are.
it forced me to do it.
Yeah, like if you want to be funny with a group of people, you need to pay attention to each other and really care about what it is that we're saying to one another. So yeah, and I think that's why like it's awesome to like I think integrate it to kids early on is just how to problem solve, how to converse, and that's like that, you know, we do that. We build communities by being more in touch with what other people are doing than what we're trying to do, being less selfish, right?
Yeah,
And I think
exactly.
that's what improv does.
Exactly.
That's the tool that it gives you.
And you get to meet some really kooky motherfuckers like you guys.
Also, I mean, and then you can't
Yeah.
complain about the community. Like, I mean,
Yeah, the community.
we always had a really
Community
good
is
time
awesome.
just hanging out with people that we met, improvising.
Yep.
Uh, so
You can take any community. There's gonna be some pricks there, but most
sure,
people are good. Most people are
always,
good people.
yeah, always the case. Um, because people have selfish motivations for being there. But by and large, yeah, like especially in the long form improv community, because that was really about getting to interconnected with each other. Long form is difficult to do if you're not a good listener or a big listener. Like short
Yeah,
form's
it's short
easy.
form too. I'll tell you. A lot of people like to think that short form is one thing or another thing, or it all works the same. I think, in my opinion,
That's
because
fair.
I've done a
That's
lot of
fair.
both.
That's fair.
And I think the short form is the exact same thing as long form. In order to get it going good, yeah, you have these rules laid on top of it, but all that is forced games. You know, all the best scenes that you see at IO and Annoyance and stuff like that, they all have some form of game in there.
Form of
They just
game.
keep playing the games for the short form. And so I think short form always got a bad rap. I think people always felt like long form was some higher art form or something like that. But really, if you can do good short form, you can do good long form. If you can do good long form, you can just shoot good short form. In
Yeah,
my
hands
opinion.
down. I think what you're
It's all
saying
scenes,
is
like,
actually
ideally.
interesting. Yeah, the same thing with stand up, right? Because stand up is reading your crowd in the same way that you would read your scene partner. And you're saying if you approach a short
Right?
form scene not as the game itself, but as the scene that you're making with that other person, it's going to be more rich, of course, because of it. And yeah, I definitely agree
Yeah.
with that. The same thing with if you live your life as somebody who is like in the like um habit of improvising, which is, listening very well, moving when it seems to make the appropriate sense to do that, then you're in a better place overall.
Yeah. Either way, it's fucking tough. I'll tell you that.
Yeah,
Putting it all together
putting it all
and
together.
learning how to just stand there and then have to do a visible object work, and it's just
And
a
make
muscle you got
jokes
to use over and over
and
and
read
over.
your audience. And yeah, no, it's not easy. Um, but it sounds
No.
like it
And
has helped.
that's why people who don't do it think it's magic. They think we're wizards or something like that.
Yeah,
It's
exactly.
just something you gotta learn and
You're
do
an
and do
improviser,
and do.
Harry.
Yeah, exactly.
You're an improviser, Harry.
Um, and I know that those skills are also, like you said, helping you out in all the things that you're doing. Like when you're like, hey, I need to pivot my career, you're like, okay, cool. I've definitely faced harder things before. Um, like I trust
It's
myself.
everywhere, everywhere. If you
Yeah,
want to get good at anything, take an improv class, man. If you want to be a good lawyer, take a good improv class.
yeah,
If you want to be a better doctor, take an improv class. It's literally you're not gonna lose anything from taking an improv class. It's gonna make whatever you're doing better. It's
yeah,
just about being better with people, you know?
exactly, exactly. And that 100%, you share this too. I was an introvert that didn't realize that actually, once I realized everything was a social game, we're all just playing characters, that when I go play a character in crowds of people, I'm no longer an introvert. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
it doesn't
Oh my
matter
God.
anymore.
I was
Yeah,
always
exactly.
so much better pretending to be someone else than I was just being myself.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah, exactly.
because then it's not me that everyone likes or dislikes. It's just fucking whatever character I'm playing.
Whatever the characters that they need you to play. Yeah, exactly. And that's where you're like, I go to work, put the smile on my face. This is the character that they need played at this moment. So just do it.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
So,
um,
so
100%. But yeah, with
yeah.
that, we're gonna wrap this show up, man. Thank you for that word, Ryan Williams. Thank you for being here with us. Aaron Cosby.
I love you guys. Thank you for having me, man. It's been so long. I'm glad we got to catch up.
Yeah.
Although I don't feel like we caught up much. I feel like I just talked about myself for 2 hours.
That was what the goal was with you
Very
being
on
our
brand. It's very on brand.
our guest here was that I wanted to, because you don't understand that we started having guests because we had talked about ourselves for multiple hours at a time. We're like, you know what would be cool is talking to people who also are cool. So oh no, it's a pleasure having you on here just to just again talk about all the things that we talked about. Just like that there is hope. You get to make choices. You choose happiness or choose being miserable. That it's never over until it's over. Yeah, I'm glad you've gotten a good life for yourself, man. We can stay connected. But I'm gonna wrap up this podcast. Aaron Cosby, you have any closing thoughts?
It makes me so happy that your name on here is Kumate. Because
Yeah.
I just signed up today, so I figured, why
okay,
not?
You need a
perfect.
Kumate.
I was
Yeah.
like, I said to him, I was like, I'm sorry, what is a Discord?
Yeah, exactly. That for sure. All right, so we're gonna post this, guys.
I
Thank
think
you for joining
I've
us.
heard
I
that
think this
name
part
before.
into and I'm gonna cut in some kumite if I can find it, so everyone can see it while this podcast
Nice.
goes on. Yeah.
If I
So
find, I feel like there might be a master cut of it somewhere. If I can find it, I'll send it your way. All right, brother.
oh my God, that would be awesome if we could find a master cut like never before seen kumite. I would be
Yeah,
about that.
like I think I have a promo video of it or something. Anyway, I'll let you know if I see it.
Okay,
All
cool,
right,
man.
I gotta run, guys.
All
Mwah.
right,
Love you.
later.